Amartya Sen, Development as Freedom, 1999, a comprehensive overview. Amartya Sen, the Indian economist and philosopher, has been one of the most influential thinkers in the field of development economics and social justice. His 1999 book, Development as Freedom, marks a seminal moment in the understanding of what development truly means and how societies should pursue it. Moving beyond traditional economic growth metrics like GDP or income, Sen offers a radically expanded notion of development that centers on human freedom and capabilities. This overview will explore Sen's key arguments, theoretical framework, and the implications of his ideas for global development policies. The central thesis: development as the expansion of freedom. Sen's fundamental argument in Development as Freedom is that development should be viewed not merely as an increase in material wealth or economic growth, but as a process of expanding the real freedoms that people enjoy. He critiques conventional definitions of development, which often focus narrowly on economic indicators such as national income, industrial output, or capital accumulation. Instead, Sen argues that development is about enhancing people's capabilities to lead the kind of lives they value. In other words, true development means increasing substantive freedoms, the ability to live long, healthy, and creative lives, to participate in social, economic, and political activities, and to make choices about one's life course. Sen writes, development can be seen as a process of expanding the real freedoms that people enjoy. This perspective shifts the focus from means, like wealth or resources, to ends, human freedoms, emphasizing people's opportunities and their ability to make meaningful choices. Key concepts: capabilities, functionings, and freedoms. At the heart of Sen's framework are the concepts of capabilities and functionings, which he elaborates in Development as Freedom, as well as in his earlier works. Functionings: these are the various things a person may value being or doing, such as being healthy, being educated, having a good job, or participating in community life. Functionings represent achieved states of being and doing. Capabilities: these refer to the real opportunities or freedoms a person has to achieve those functionings. It's about the set of possible life choices available to an individual. Capabilities are the substantive freedoms a person can use to pursue the life they want. Sen emphasizes that capabilities are more important than resources or income alone, because different individuals face different constraints and needs. For example, two people with the same income might have very different capabilities depending on health, education, social environment, or discrimination. This capability approach leads to a more nuanced and humane evaluation of development by focusing on what people are effectively able to do and be, not just what they have. Freedom as both means and end of development. Sen argues that freedom plays a dual role in development, as both the primary end and the principal means. 1. Freedom as the primary end. Development should ultimately aim at enhancing human freedoms. The purpose of development is to increase people's ability to lead lives they have reason to value. 2. Freedom as the principal means. Freedoms themselves contribute to development. For example, political freedoms, economic opportunities, social facilities, transparency guarantees, and protective security systems all help improve people's capability to participate actively in development. This is a key insight because it highlights how freedom is not just a goal, but a necessary ingredient in the process of development. Expanding freedoms empowers individuals, promotes creativity and innovation, and encourages social progress. 5 key freedoms in development as freedom. Sen outlines 5 specific types of freedom that are essential to development. 1. Political freedoms. The ability to participate in political processes, express opinions, and have rights such as free speech and voting. Political freedoms foster accountability and responsiveness in government. 2. Economic facilities. Access to economic resources, including employment opportunities, credit, and markets. This allows individuals to improve their livelihoods. 3. Social opportunities. Access to education, healthcare, and social services. These opportunities enable individuals to live healthy, productive lives. 4. Transparency guarantees. The freedom to deal with others under conditions of openness and trust. This includes freedom from corruption, deceit, and unfair treatment. 5. Protective security. Social safety nets that protect people from extreme deprivation and vulnerabilities such as unemployment, famine, or natural disasters. Sen stresses that these freedoms are interconnected and reinforcing. For instance, political freedoms can lead to better economic policies, social opportunities enhance people's ability to work, transparency promotes fair economic transactions, and protective security supports participation in society. Critique of conventional development measures. Sen critiques traditional economic measures like GDP per capita or income growth as insufficient to capture the true progress of a society. GDP growth may mask inequalities, social exclusion, or the lack of political freedom. For example, a country might show impressive economic growth, but suffer from widespread malnutrition, poor health outcomes, or lack of education, indicating that many people are deprived of basic freedoms despite increasing national income. He also criticizes utilitarian approaches that focus on aggregate utility or pleasure, arguing that focusing on individual capabilities is a more just and meaningful way to assess development. Poverty and development as freedom. One of Sen's most influential applications of his framework is to the issue of poverty. He defines poverty as the deprivation of basic capabilities, not simply low income. This approach recognizes that poverty is multidimensional and involves lack of access to education, healthcare, political participation, and social inclusion. By focusing on capability deprivation, Sen's approach has influenced the way international development agencies, such as the UN and the World Bank, think about poverty measurement and reduction strategies. It inspired the creation of multidimensional poverty indices that include health, education, and living standards. Development, democracy, and public participation. Sen makes a strong connection between development and democracy. He argues that political freedoms and democracy are integral to development because democracies allow for public participation, which helps identify and prioritize development goals based on people's real needs. Democratic accountability ensures governments address social and economic problems effectively. Political freedoms encourage open debate, innovation, and the protection of individual rights. Sen famously noted that no country has achieved significant economic development without substantial political freedoms and democratic participation. His empirical work on famines demonstrated that democratic countries with free press and political opposition are much less likely to suffer famines because citizens can hold governments accountable. Role of education and health. Education and health are crucial components of Sen's capability approach. Access to education and healthcare expands people's capabilities and improves their opportunities. For Sen, investing in education and health is not only a moral imperative, but also essential for economic development, social mobility, and the enhancement of freedom. Influence on policy and development practice. Sen's development as freedom has had wide-reaching influence on development theory and practice. The United Nations Development Program, UNDP, incorporated the capability approach in its Human Development Reports and the Human Development Index, HDI, which measures development by combining income with education and health indicators. His ideas have pushed policymakers to focus more on human rights, gender equality, social justice, and democratic governance. The capability approach has become a central framework in welfare economics, social policy, and ethical debates about justice and equity. Sen's work has encouraged participatory development approaches where people's voices and freedoms are central to planning and decision-making. Criticisms and challenges. While Sen's capability approach is widely praised, it has also faced some critiques. Operationalization. Measuring capabilities and freedoms is challenging because they are multidimensional and sometimes subjective. How to quantify capabilities consistently across contexts remains debated. Cultural relativism. Some critics argue that what constitutes valued capabilities may vary across cultures, complicating universal standards. Focus on individual freedom. Some scholars argue that Sen emphasizes individual freedoms but may underplay structural issues or collective identities. Despite these challenges, Sen's framework remains one of the most powerful and humane approaches to development. Conclusion: a paradigm shift in development thinking. Amartya Sen's development as freedom redefines development as a process of expanding people's substantive freedoms, shifting the focus from economic growth to human well-being and agency. By emphasizing capabilities and freedom as both means and ends, Sen provides a more comprehensive, ethical, and practical framework to understand and promote development. His work has transformed global development discourse, influencing measurement, policy, and practice. It underscores that economic growth alone is insufficient. True development must empower individuals to live the lives they value with dignity, choice, and opportunity.